Okay, so this is what we are working on here today. Okay, I've got to get my ahead of a mystery in the Oval. Uh-oh, some kind of mystery in the Oval Office. That that should be. Well, why doesn't he just tell us instead of keeping us in suspense? That's what I've always thought. Okay, okay, I need to. Okay, so I am here. If you guys have any questions, ask them in the comment sections below. Okay, we have got to put on, nope, that's not the lighting that's going to work. We've got to put on our other lighting. Okay. Okay, so I'm working here on, I'm making this a little bit darker. So I had this pre-done. I had this, actually I had this, some of this I drew up yesterday. And so I'm just making the edges of the lines a little bit darker. Maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I should just go on ahead in with the coloring here. And so I'm going to take two pencils here, and I'm going to just do some shading up here at the top. Like, oh, look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness, look at this. I'm just going to take two pencils here like this. Now I'm going to flip them upside down. Like this direction, and do some more shading. The arm I might make a different color, but I'm just doing some shading like this. That is really pretty. So now I know I purchased some of those mixed colored pencils, but this actually works too. So just hold a couple of pencils together if you want mixed colors. And you know, it may, let's see how we can, if we can. Okay, if I do this, then I'd have to put a space between them. But this actually works. This actually works. So I'm making my candy corn dress here. This is what it looks like there, like that. Now I've got, let's see how this works. I'm going to try 3 of them. I should sharpen my, this one pencil maybe. I don't know. Let's just give it a try here and see what we come up with. See what happens. So I'm going to try to place them close together like this. 3, is it going to be too much for me to handle these pencils here? Okay, let's see if we can. Okay, you guys are not cooperating very well here. Come on now. Okay. Okay, 2 I can handle. 3 is not so great. Our little threesome here with us pencils is not working out so great. We're trying to have a threesome with the pencils, and it ain't working out so well. Oh my goodness. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Okay. We're trying, okay, maybe I need to fan them out a little bit here. Okay. Okay, I think maybe I've got it here. Yeah, this seems to be, yeah. I've got a little bit better grip on them. Now I'm afraid to, I really want to switch them out in this direction, but not if they're going to give me as much trouble as they've been giving me here. Okay. Okay, look. Okay, let's just do 2 at a time. We can handle 2, not 3. We're not doing very well. I'm not doing very well with 2. I was trying to give it a yellowish gradient color here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set that one down. And then I am going to mix this. So this is our candy corn dress. So if you guys know, remember the little street things that they set in the road construction guys? They look like giant candy corns. I always thought they look like giant candy corns. And so I'm just coloring here and making a, and it's also a poo emoji head too. Do you see that there? I made a poo emoji and it looks like it has a chicken beak. And so now let's work on the bottom here. I've got 5 pencils right here. And so I'm going to work here on, I think they're a different color at the top, but I'm just going to make them I'm going to make them just all one color like this. Because it's my project and I can. It's my channel and my project and I can do what I want with it. Okay, so my candy corns are different colors like that. Has anyone ever seen the process of how a candy corn is made? Hello, Abby. I see you there, Abby. Hello. Do you have any input or any questions or anything you'd like to chit-chat about today? I'm just doing a little bit of drawing here. Working on a candy cane dress. We're just having a little bit of fun here. I'm going to shade a little bit with this color. Shade it in. I might do some lines too. I probably will. Okay, so we're adding in, yeah, this looks pretty good. I really like this. I really do like the, let's put these two in. It's funny, this one looks orange, but it's coming up as yellow. But let's add in some little shadings like this and see what we get. Because we do need a little bit of highlights and things. That's pretty good. That's kind of the look I'm looking for there. I want some little chicken scratch things in there. That looks pretty good. What color are we going to do the legs? Let's do a little bit of a, let's make them orange. We'll do some orange legs here. Just like this. Hello, The Only My. Hello. The Only My. Okay. So I want to enhance a little bit, and I'm just using pencil. So I'm just using a little bit of pencil here to enhance the lines of the legs. And so this is what we've got here. I'm just going to enhance a little bit because I like the line drawing, and so when I say that, I mean just the line drawing of the stick figure. So I'm not looking for anything that's real fancy. I'm just looking for stick figure. Stick figure is a lot of fun to draw. Hello, Cringe Videos. Oh, Cringe Videos. We have a lot of fun with Cringe Videos, don't we? I'm pretty sure we do. Okay, so, but you know, other thing I find fun is to add a little bit of highlighting and dimensions here with colors. Let's make red shoes. The red and the orange are going to look pretty close together. They kind of do look pretty close together because they're in the same family of colors. Red and orange. Okay, so we've got, oh, that looks, I like that. Okay, let's add some more lines here. Hello, Cringe Videos. That's you. You are Candy Cane. You like the, not candy cane, candy corn. Your Cringe Videos. Oh, you're calling this a cringe video because I made it with poo emoji head and a chicken beak. Is that why you're calling it a cringe video? Yeah, I mean, that probably might be a good title for my video, is cringe video. You know, I can, I'm sure I can knock out a cringe video out of here, right? I do. I think that all humans love the, yes, I know what you just called it there, the poo-poo hole. Well, see, the thing is that every human being, well, why do we have poo emoji? Can you guys tell me that? Why do we have poo emoji? It has nothing to do with anything that's cringe or naughty. Why do we have poo emoji? What is America's fascination? Let me ask a direct, straight up question. What is America's fascination with poop? Can you guys answer that for me? What is the United States of America and the world's fascination with poop? Can you guys answer that for me? Isn't it something that everybody does? Everybody takes a dump, right? So is there anything so unusual about it? No, it is not chocolate treats. You're absolutely right. It is not chocolate treats. You know, even though there is evil people on the internet who like to take that out of context related to, oh, let's bust them out. Let's bust them out really good. There is evil men, cringy evil men on the internet who like to take that out of context, and they use that to bait children and even women, young women, old women, whoever falls for it, you know, related to what your preferences, you know. And if you don't like their chocolate, then it's like there's a problem with you, you know. That's how they are. You know, so instead of calling their self a certain color, they call their self chocolate, or they change it to like a Spanish rice bean or something like that, you know. Even though they're still of the chocolate descent or whatever. Let's make it let's make a maroon poo. That's what we'll do. We'll make a maroon poo. Because no human being is actually maroon colored now, are they? Nope, they sure aren't. And so that's something that people have to look out for. So Cringe Video says, one time my sister said that chocolate was poop, so I believed her, so that's why I don't like chocolate. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's true. I mean, we all, you know, everyone's kind of made a comparison of chocolate to poop. I probably said that my own self, that chocolate and even chocolate pudding, it does look like poop. And you know, they made the Hershey Kisses. I think that's where some of that come from. The Hershey Kisses, they look like poop with their little thing on the top. They had the little oh, what was the little curl. I mean, this could be a Hershey's Kiss too, as far as that goes. It was that time when, oh, when you were 4, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I said that when I was a kid, that I thought the Hershey's Kisses look like poop. They do. They look just like a turd. You know, and when you look at a dog turd, a hot steaming dog turd, and it comes out kind of runny, it piles up like a little thing of poop. You know, so, yeah, there's some innocent fun that people have with poop emoji. I mean, it's something that all humans do. They're fascinated by it. They talk about it all the time. It's something we do multiple times a day, you know. And so, yeah, you keep on talking about poop. You know, America has a fascination with poop, and we just will be talking about it, right? Right, I agree. And so, yeah, so poo emoji is a very popular and common emoji on the internet. And, you know, it's a subject that might be hard for some people to talk about, but here we are, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about poo emoji. And we're going to put in a little bit. Now, we don't want to do too much now. I don't want to ruin it, so I'm not going to use this color. I'm not going to use the poop color. I'm not going to use poop colored pencil right now. And this, we can call it poop colored pencil. So instead of brown, let's just call it poop. We'll just call it poop. You know, since they want to take everything out of context, this is our poop colored pencil. It's a poo pencil. That's a good word for it. Poop pencil. You know, so our jelly beans, no one has actually called a jelly bean poop, I don't think. So my sister said that because she hates me eating chocolate. Yeah, well, I mean, and chocolate is something that, you know, the predators use that. I mean, and there are male predators on the internet, a lot of them. And I'm just going to call a spade a spade. They're male predators. And they will shame young girls and even old women. You know, it doesn't matter what age you are. They will shame people by using the chocolate thing. Oh, little girl, do you like chocolate? Do you like chocolate? Do you like your chocolate man? You know, so that's what they're looking for when they do that kind of stuff. And I have come across a lot of that, you know, been guilt shamed by it over 20 years ago. And it's like, you know, I never, even in high school too, I was kind of guilt shamed over that. I bet you would never date a chocolate man. I don't think he used that word though, but he used a different word. And so chocolate is not, you have a chocolate Santa Claus and you have chocolate eggs and things like that. Um, but there are predators who use that, and we do need to talk about this stuff. I think it's important to talk about it because of the fact that that's how kids are lured into a false sense on the internet by some pervert man who wants to lure them into different places to probably watch him doing stuff on video. I mean, I've seen enough of that, unfortunately, where they're taking these kids, I don't know. And I know they said recently something about the Roblox guy got in a lot of trouble because he's leading kids off into places on the internet that they shouldn't be, and doing adult content on the Roblox website. So and I guess sometimes there's people who push the issues of that because they're just trying to prove a point. And it's like, I would not want to do that. That's something someone else can do, because that's going to lead a person to getting into huge trouble related to, if they literally are doing that. There are laws. There's laws against that, and if they get caught, they're going to prison for a very long time. That's not something I would want to do just to make a point with that. With words and search engine optimization, that's one thing. And I've proven multiple times how people on the internet are violating someone else's civil rights. I mean, even on YouTube, we've got proof of that. They're violating someone else's civil rights with moderation, but YouTube allows it. There's a different type of moderation on YouTube than there is in real life. And unfortunately, we have to listen to people when they say things. Now, if they get too much overbearing, we always have the option of calling the legal authorities. If that's something, that's what they've told us. Our legal authorities have told us that if we need them, that's what they're there for, to call them if we feel like something is being invaded in some way or another, to give them a call and they'll come out and do something. Now, they're just there as a tool, as a vessel, and a go-between. They don't make the laws. They respond. They are first responders. And I heard this recently on the internet, this guy yesterday, and I feel like I can't even describe what he looked like, but he falls in with the alignment of my ex-husband. And he's like, oh, they are just so terrible because they are the problem with our society. And it's like, really? They're there to help us. They respond. They don't make the laws. But yet they always use that terminology. Oh, they're judge, jury, and executioner. It's like, okay, well, if you guys weren't doing something wrong, why do you need to be on the internet fighting for your own personal rights to continue doing something that's wrong? So you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. And then you don't want the police to talk to you about it? Okay, your sister said that because she hates me eating her chocolate, I have to go. Bye. Okay, goodbye, cringe videos. Goodbye, cringe videos. Why would a child be doing a video called cringe videos? I mean, I can't, I still have my videos set for adults. I have the age thing on mine for adults, but yet kids still come around, which I find that fascinating, because there's got to be a loophole that someone else is doing this. I think it's the networks. I'm pretty positive it's the networks that are doing this, because that they are allowing kids in to do stuff because they have placed they have the adults who have set up the accounts, and then they just put the kids on them. And so I get corrected all the time on the internet, and they're like, oh no, it's not kids, it's just some little kid who stole their parents' phone. It's like, you guys are delusional. You know damn well you're letting the kids use the phone. So if you're a network, I mean, I don't know, Paramount, maybe, I don't know what network you're part of, but you're part of one of those entertainment networks and you're literally letting kids use the phones. You're giving them to use. Just like what you're doing with the foreigners. You know, when they talked about that, nobody talks about this anymore, that the foreigners were given phones when they came to the border. They talked about it a little bit. And so they said that they talked about and said the phones that people got, they were issued at the borders. They said all the illegals dropped their identifications, threw them down on the ground at the border. They were given the phones, and then they just come on into the United States. And, you know, and so I don't know where, maybe some of them could have sent their phones back down to Mexico. Maybe they did. I don't know. They could have. If they wanted their wife to have a phone, then that meant they would have had to buy another phone somewhere. So I'm telling you, with as many of them that are on the internet talking to their loved ones in other countries, what asylum are they seeking? Because they're still in contact with their loved ones in another country. And it didn't look to me like there was anything harmful going on in the background as they're recording and as they're illegally recording me in places where I'm at that they're not supposed to be recording me, but the staff where I'm at is dumb as a sack of rocks. I have nothing nice to say about the staff. They're dumb as a sack of rocks because they don't actually speak English. And so, and I know that's going to sound kind of funny because I am in the United States. Does this mean that cringe videos is not going to be on the internet anymore? Because I know that was popular for a long time, but you know, in order for people to keep these specific words popular, someone has to pay for them, and that's what they're doing, is paying for them. You know, and so it makes people feel very, very uncomfortable when I talk about these topics. And I've always asked the question, why does it make you feel so uncomfortable when I tell the truth about how you're doing things, and then you get mad at me and then call me a troll? You call me a troll because I'm telling what's going on, and it's like, oh no, we really don't want people to know what's going on. We really don't. You know you're the problem. And you're using money to influence the internet, and you're using kids to influence the internet. You know, plus you got your background staff living in mansions across the United States. That's what that's about. They're living in mansions and hotels. The travel and tourism people, that's what they're doing. They got them living in mansions and hotels, the travel and tourism people, while everybody else suffers. Now, I have come across a huge amount of people speaking out now, which is, I find fascinating. Now, these are the people who are talking about, they said you can be living in poverty, and I've expressed this myself, and I'm so thankful to hear from these people. They said you can be living in poverty and not be eligible to get SNAP benefits or welfare. And that's a fact. And so thankfully these folks are speaking out now. And they're talking out about it and saying that they've been caught up in it their own self and they don't know what they're supposed to do. Thankfully, they're talking about it now. But that's what they said. As time passes, people do start to speak out about things that are wrong with our society. And, you know, they'll talk about it on video. And so they'll drop the silly things that they're doing to talk about it. Now, I know myself, I've tried to talk about it, but I think it was like my son told me, I was a little bit ahead of my time in trying to talk about things because people were still doing their other things and they were making good money. And so, like with YouTube, when people don't make money anymore, and like when they took away the DEI thing, the USAID, you know, people are upset about that. And they're like, oh, well, our rights are being violated. It's like, well, wait a minute. What about the rest of us? Don't we have rights? You know, so inflation and raising prices just because you can steals from the future of the American public. When you purposely inflate things, when you manipulate the stock market with tariffs, and then the only thing that drops is the price of the shares on Wall Street, and then your company buys it back, and that's what they're doing. Donald is using tariffs to manipulate the stock market to buy back stocks, and then the rest of them can buy them back cheaper, and then they sit on them for a while, and they slowly start trickling them back out, so they make more money from that. And so then that's how they make the money through Wall Street, is by, and that's how they manipulate the stock market, by saying something. Oh, there was something else I was thinking about. What am I? An economist? Draw me a dishwasher, sir. I am a combination of an economist and a dishwasher. Now, these are things that I'm a domestic engineer because I am a former housewife. I would like to just still be a retired housewife someplace, but I'm trying to figure out how to make some revenue, and I will call the police for people who suggest the dirty dark side of the deep web, because I don't like you. I'll tell people that right now. So I don't mean to offend anybody. This isn't against any of you here, because I haven't seen any of that, but that's what I've had to deal with on the internet in the past before, is a lot of that dialogue where, and even in real life too, my ex-husband actually said that to me. I think that's probably why I have issues with it, because he told me, he's like, oh, well, a woman is going to do what she has to do to get by, and if that includes prostitution, then that's what she needs to do. He literally told me that before I called the police on him for hitting me, and he literally told me that. That's the kind of man he is. So, I mean, and there are people who possibly could know. I know artificial intelligence knows, because artificial intelligence is pretty good at tracking me related to the internet. And right now, I don't have any objections to that, because it's like artificial intelligence right now is sort of I know it's not real, but it's a kind of a friend in a way. And it comes up with some comforting things for me to keep myself occupied at times, because of the fact that I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And there's a lot of, the invisible people on YouTube. We're the invisible people is what we are. And I know there's a YouTube channel called The Invisible People. I always understood it. I understood that concept of invisible people, because it's the rest of society. So when John Green wrote the book, A Fault with Our Stars, now John Green is I think he's got over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. When he wrote A Fault in the Stars, and I was just thinking, yeah, there is a big fault. They're famous. That's the fault with the stars. That's the fault with the celebrities, with the famous stars. They're famous. That's the problem. And then they want to keep doing things their way and artificially inflating the economy and influencing the American public, because they're Wall Street. The stars are Wall Street. And that's one thing you don't hear, when you go over to TikTok and they're playing that panel game and stuff like that. You hear them saying husband, wife, what's the other thing they spout out all the time? Flat earth, it's like, well, what about inflation? You guys aren't doing inflation. You should be. You could be doing inflation. If you want to manipulate the algorithm, you could do homeless, inflation. If you want to really manipulate the algorithm, you could manipulate it in that way. But no, they don't want to do that, because they're going to keep doing their drugs and stuff like that. They're phony. What they do is they just basically troll the government. And then they come up with this really ridiculous content and stuff like that. I know someone could say what I'm doing right here, drawing this, is ridiculous. That people have actually said that. I've been told when I was teaching crochet that it was a waste of time, and that was by my own husband. Now, my income from YouTube actually helped pay for the house that I can't live in anymore. But yet he told me what I was doing was a waste of time. Even though my income that I had at one time, I don't have it anymore. I lost that income. but he told me it was a waste of time. He told me I was wasting my time doing stuff on the internet. Even though I knew personally that, Dolby says, I am a submissive male looking for a partner who enjoys femdom. I don't know what femdom. What are you talking about, femdom? I'm not sure what you're talking about with femdom, because I don't know what you're talking about with that area. That sounds like something from the lunatic lefties. I've always been a woman my whole life, and so I'm not sure what femdom is. You know, so yes, I do. Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. Life has a way of teaching you about the economy, and I believe that there's other people who are trying to express. You know, I know that there were some things a few years ago when I was on Facebook. There was, like, my sons, you know, with what they were doing, things they were posts they were sharing with, you know, from their military friends and things like that. When they were gone to war over in the Middle East, they were sharing things about what prices were back in the day versus prices are now. And you know, and that had always crossed my mind, because when I was a kid, it's like, okay, we could get a huge long candy bar, like, well, how long is this thing here? Let's look at how long this thing is. This is 5 inches. So from top head to toe, it's 5 inches here. So you could get a really, really long, big candy bar. And granted, I know that when I was a little kid, you know, candy bars were big. They were really, really big when I was a kid. And you can get them for 5 cents. What's a candy bar cost now? Candy bar is very expensive. What is it, like $2 or something like that? And that's inflation. Why should we pay for higher prices of food that is not healthy for us? And I would ask the question at the same time too, you know, because I know there's a politician who actually, what is it, Robert Kennedy? He does that conspiracy stuff, and so he's talking about wanting to take things off of SNAP benefits. Well, people shouldn't be getting money for candy bars off of SNAP benefits. Not only that, it causes it to be more expensive. You know, so when you have a candy bar that's $2, that means your SNAP benefits doesn't go as far. How come people are not talking about that who are on SNAP benefits? So the government is not taking money away from you. Inflation is. Inflation's taking money away from you. It's not the government, but yet the capitalists, the way they word it on the internet, unfortunately, they'll tell you the government's taking money away from you. And so but the capitalists, I wish I could figure out a way to draw a picture of it somehow with what happens. I mean, we all know, maybe I can, you know, so, I mean, so with inflation, let's see here, inflation. You know, okay, so let's look at the year 1900. And so a candy bar was maybe 5 cents. 5 cents for a candy bar. And then go up here to the year 2025, and a candy bar is $2.50. That's inflation. Whoops. And so that's inflation right there. Hello, you came back. Siciliano 89. So 5 cents inflation, $2.50. And so in here, at one time we had food stamps, and that's gone now. Food stamps. And so they've been transferred to the SNAP card. And so people are complaining about I don't know who does this, but they're complaining about saying that they're not getting food stamps anymore, which is true. It's on the SNAP card. The SNAP card. And so, you know, people get that. But at the same time, they're getting less for food because of inflation. And so I shouldn't be using a candy bar, but, you know, but I am. I'm using this as a candy bar. And that's because the candy companies decided they wanted to lobby Congress for candy bars to be in schools as some type of nutritional value, but yet that's part of the problem with making people chubby, isn't it? The candy, all the sugar. Now, we're not saying anything is wrong with candy in general. It's just too much of it. It's not a food that you sit down at the table and eat with. It's just not. He wants me to draw a dishwasher. I will draw a dishwasher. I absolutely will. I'll show you what a dishwasher is. Do you see these hands? This is a dishwasher. These hands are a dishwasher. Do you want me to draw a set of hands? Actually, if I'm not mistaken, let me look here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I have a dishwasher built right here already. Do you see this? These tiny hands? Tiny little hands. I have drawn a dishwasher. You guys see that? This is a dishwasher. There's a hand here. There's a hand here. These are dishwashers. You can wash dishes with your hands. You don't need to buy a fancy dishwasher. And so that's how people wash dishes, is by hand. And, you know, that when I was younger, my hands were the dishwasher. This is a dishwasher right here. I know it's going to be confusing to people if the algorithm starts surfacing hands as dishwasher, but this is a fact. This is a dishwasher. Your hands are a dishwasher. Because this is what washes dishes when you have no electricity. This is a dishwasher. And you know, people my age, they're going to say the same thing. I guarantee it. They're going to say the same thing. You know, and all these appliances, I believe the appliances are a problem in being a pull on our power grid. A big pull. The houses have gotten larger. The refrigerators have gotten larger. Now, I've always said that, you know, there was a point when I was married to my second husband. I told him I wanted the small white refrigerator. And when I said small white refrigerator, I was just talking about the smaller old-fashioned type that didn't have the ice maker in it. I told him that. I told him I did not want the big double side-by-side refrigerator. And it's like, well, he went ahead and got the double side-by-side refrigerator. And, you know, the thing I found with it is we really didn't have that much more room. I could hear a distinct difference that the refrigerator itself was pulling. I could hear like a pulling on the energy when it would come in. So it felt like it sounded like a drag almost. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe other people who have heard it before. And I even started recording it too. So it seemed like there was certain times of the day, and then I would hear this clicking inside of the house that sounded like it was electricity clicking. It was the most strange thing. And the only thing I could conclude is that it had something to do with electricity making a sound. And I know I've lived by power lines, and electricity does make a sound when it travels. It does make a sound. And, you know, I think there's probably other people who have lived near power lines. They make that buzzing noise. And so when you're in certain places and it's somewhat quiet, you can hear this stuff. And I was hearing that. And it kind of got worse when we had one refrigerator. I really didn't like it. It broke within a few years. And, you know, I mean, they always say that you have this warranty, but, you know, what good is the warranty? What good is saying you have a warranty unless you're going to replace something? Why even bother? Just, I mean, it's like it's a scam. That's what I kind of think. That's actually really, really pretty. I made a gradient poo emoji. It's kind of pink like the one we've got on YouTube, only it's a little bit darker. It's sort of a maroon color. I wonder what color I should make the eyes. Let's see what color. And so the refrigerator, I told him that I didn't want, let's make him kind of green. We'll make him a sea green color. But I told him I didn't want the great big refrigerator. I told him I wanted the old-fashioned one. And he went ahead and got the big one anyway. And then within 2 years, that thing broke. It started breaking. It had a bunch of plastic in it. And the plastic material inside broke. Now it had something what I called a car alarm on the refrigerator. So if you leave it open, it was so ridiculous, but it did. It was electronic. I think it was a Samsung refrigerator, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it was called, was a Samsung refrigerator. Maybe, and it had a ding on it when you left it open, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We can't afford to help people who need help in our country, but yet Samsung can actually make a refrigerator with a car alarm on it. If you leave your door open on the refrigerator or leave it cracked on accident. And that's something I've done my whole life. That doesn't mean I have Alzheimer's. I've always accidentally left the refrigerator open at times. I don't know why. It's just something that's happened. You know, maybe I just didn't get it pushed shut. Maybe there's something that's actually pushing against the refrigerator or caught in the way. You know, I have too much stuff piled inside of the refrigerator, and then it pushes open on its own. So it's not like there's a latch on the outside where you can just forcefully push it shut to keep it shut. There's not that kind of latch. And I understand why there's not, because that would be a safety problem, you know, that would be a big safety problem if they put latches on the refrigerator, you know, because kids would be then locking their siblings inside the refrigerator, and that would be a big problem. You know, so besides that, you know, but I just feel like the bigger you make things, the bigger you make houses, that means you have to have more than one HVAC unit inside of your house. What color should I make my balloon? Do any of you have a color of, you're a submissive male. That's so crazy. A submissive male. That is such an interesting choice of words right there. Looking for a partner who enjoys femdom. You know, so if that, as long as that's just a regular human being, that's something that, you know, just a regular normal human being. But let me get back to the refrigerator. Okay, so the larger the house you make, you've got to have 2 HVAC units on it. And the house that I was living in, the guy, when the HVAC unit went out in less than 10 years. But see, what happened, the construction company had already gone out of business. They'd already gone out of business, which then means that I couldn't get any warranty off of that because of the fact that they'd gone out of business. And then they said, oh, well, that doesn't fall under, that falls under this other place. And so I contacted the electricians who installed the HVAC unit, and they didn't actually put in a warranty for the HVAC unit. They didn't file the warranty. So we had to spend $7,000 on a brand new unit. And so I was looking at the HVAC unit, and I thought, well, my gosh, they could have just gotten this stuff recycled from someplace else. I mean, it looked that bad. It didn't look brand new to me. It looked like it was used. And I started thinking, and I was thinking about that. I thought, well, gosh, they could just repurpose and repurposing and recycling and not putting things in new. So why would you say that you're going to give someone something that's new if you have bought from a junkyard? So a lot of construction people, that's what they'll do, is they will buy used from someplace else. You know, like if you have a toilet, it looks pretty good, they clean it up, and they're giving you a used toilet even though they can be calling it new. Well, where's the oversight in that? I don't think there is any oversight in that. You know, because they're, you know, we take the word of these construction people that they're going to have integrity, which they don't. They absolutely don't. I mean, the thing I'll say is that I lived in military quarters that had, they would fix things. If we had something wrong, they would fix things. But in the private sector and in the real estate investment trust units and things like that, they don't want to fix things because their only motivation is to make money for the CEO. And that's the same thing with raising rent prices higher. You know, their motivation is to make money for the CEO, for the land, not for the landlord, not for the property managers, because the landlord and property managers is the same thing. These are people who have been hired. So before you get too angry at them, they're an employee. They are an employee. And, you know, so they're working for another company who takes money from them. Now, while they're working for that company, I would think that they would be learning that the company taking the money from them is causing inflation. They have to be learning that. There's got to be a lot of women learning that, because I know that they had one of them had a nonprofit, and they said they helped house single moms and help them get jobs. But you know what their jobs are? Their jobs were actually selling houses. You know, so there are real estate girls who are moms, and their job is actually selling houses that they even can't afford to live in. They can't even afford to live in them. And so I don't know how that works out. So when the rest of us can't afford to buy a house, because there was a guy the other day and he was blaming baby boomers specifically for sitting on property. He was blaming baby boomers for sitting on property and not selling the houses. And it's like, well, what about homeless baby boomers? Did you think about that? He never answered me at all. He didn't answer me when I asked him the question, what about homeless baby boomers? You've got military veterans who are baby boomers who are homeless. You've got military veterans who are homeless. You've got American citizens who are homeless. Now, how do you rationalize that? He just plain didn't answer me. And so these young gals who are moms are trying to sell this property, and they're saying that the baby boomers are sitting on this property. And, well, you've got one baby boomer. That's Donald Trump sitting up there in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is your baby boomer. Maybe Elon Musk is a Generation Xer. I don't know if he's bought properties. Some have said that Jeff Bezos and Amazon has bought properties. Some of them said that they have bought investment properties in, oh, even Warren Buffett too. I mean, depending on how Berkshire Hathaway works that out. You know, if he bought up a stock or something, or some investment money from a portfolio of some sort, and their expectation is just making money off the American public as they raise prices of housing higher, because that's their expectation in raising funding. Now that might work, and it might have worked at one time when people are having more babies. But if people are having less babies, you know what? The future means that they're not going to make as much money because of the fact that people are having less babies. So that means men and women are doing responsible family planning. We realize we can't even afford to take care of ourselves, so why would we want to bring children into the world? We're trying to do something responsible. But at the same time, these money people apparently they're trying to get at Robert Kennedy, the conspiracy theorist guy. And so they've got him spouting out women are not having as much babies. We need to do something so women have more babies, which I guess that's taking away abortion, and that's taking away birth control pills. That's raising the prices so high that people can't afford to have medical. So when they do that and you can't afford to have medical services, then and you've taken abortion away, that means it's taken away a family planning right. And so then you've got the capitalists dictating that women are forced to have babies that they may not want to bring into this world because it's a world of capitalism. And I think that abortion is more of a responsible decision on the part of people who approve of it, because it's like, why would anyone want to bring a child into such a hateful, unthankful world as Robert F. Kennedy talking about the way that he does in thinking that women should be having more babies. And he's not the only man I've heard say that. I mean, I was just horrified when I heard that. And they're complaining because women aren't having enough babies. That's what they were complaining about. Women are not having enough babies. So that means capitalism wants women to have more babies so they can have more money from the government. And that's how their Ponzi scam, and that's how more money from the government works. The government will print more money as more people have babies. That's what I was kind of thinking. But then capitalism is right there. It's like they got their hand out. Give us money. We want money too. The greedy people. And so, I mean, it's just something that I know when I was younger, we weren't being taught about. And it's really sad because of the fact, moms should be raising their babies and dads should be raising their babies, but you got both of them going to work. Now, at the same time, you've got mom going to work. Sure, she wants to go to work, but I know when I was the age of a mom back in the day, I went to this hotel to apply for a job, and you know what? One of my kids cried. My husband was sitting in the car. He was in the military, and so he took me to different hotels to apply for a job. But at this one specifically, I believe it was called the Butterfly Trees Lodge in Monterey, California. I went there to apply for a job. One of my kids happened to cry, and the woman she says, "Do you have kids?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Oh, we don't hire people who have kids because they're coming to work, they're irresponsible because a lot of times they have to take care of babies because their child might be sick and the daycare won't take them." But the other thing I was thinking about at the same time of that, I mean, there was nothing I could really do. If I would have had a recording device like today, it could have been a setup where maybe I would have recorded the woman saying that, and then I would have had some kind of proof that she said it. I don't know if the Butterfly Trees Lodge is still in business or not anymore, but that's what they were doing back then. They could get away with it just because they could, and I didn't really have any recourse. Now, for me, I wasn't thinking through thoroughly either that I would have actually been paying more for daycare than what I was making I wouldn't have really been making any money. I really wouldn't have been making any money. Then my husband, he had a woman he worked with who was active duty, and she'd had a baby, and so she brought her baby to me, and so I was only getting $90. I think it was $90 every 2 weeks, which I thought it was going to be $90 per week. So the thing is if I can't afford to live on my own, that someone offers me something from babysitting and daycare and stuff like that, I have to put this out there. If I can't afford to take care of myself, I'm not going to do it. It's, inflation has such a hold on this country. I'm just not going to do it because, because the whole thing leads to inflation. When you got people asking for more money, higher wages, higher this, higher that, the unions. Now, I don't object to the unions. I would be a union who asks for less. If I was a union, I'm the union who says, wait a minute, we've got inflation. I mean, so I'm a different kind of a union. I'm a reverse engineer union. Let's put a domestic engineer, goddess, reverse engineer union, who says, wait a minute, you guys are harming this country. Capitalism is harming this country by asking for more and more and more, which that kind of contracts, this is what happens. Let's go back here to my inflation chart. So this means less people, the dollar has less buying power. Less buying power. Less buying power. And so this means the American dollar is going in this direction with what we can buy. This means and the American human is going down in this direction too. Inflation is so high that just means we can't we kind of have like a diagonal pyramid going on here. Inflation is going up, our purchasing power is going down. That means we can afford less on the price of the dollar. The dollar might look strong up here, but we can afford less because a candy bar in 1900 was 5 cents. I don't know if it was. I'm using this just as an example. It's just an example. In the year 2025, a candy bar is $2.50. And so this means that our dollar is worth less. I mean, we can say it's worth less purchasing power, and it's also worthless. So inflation is devaluing the American dollar. That's what's happening. Let me write that up there. Inflation is devaluing the American dollar. The American dollar. And so this interest rate dance that Trump and Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, whoever they put in, it isn't going to matter who they put in. If Congress does not put a stop to this, it's just like Congress is saying, the hell with you people, the hell with the American public. We don't care that you guys can't afford to live. That's what I'm hearing. Now, Chip Roy, bless his heart, I haven't seen him on TV in quite some time. He was bringing up, so the conservatives do tend to bring up the issues. Now, I'm for neither party. I can't say that I support anybody without getting yelled at. Oh, you love God. Yes, Texas. Oh, say a prayer for people and kiss your ass goodbye, because you're going to rot in the hell of which party do you belong to? You belong to that party or this party. It's like, no. I support the American people. But capitalism and inflation, I need to write that up there. Capitalism, inflation is devaluing the American dollar, and that means everyone is being sent down here. And you got the cream de la cream of the crop who has the most money up here. That's Elon Musk, who's not even an American citizen. I mean, he only is just because he bought his way into there. And I don't give a rat's ass about him at all. I don't give a rat's ass about Wall Street, because Wall Street is another fault with our stars, because you got a lot of celebrity Wall Street people like Warren Buffett. What's your community? You have, your channel? Is that what you're talking about? I love God. Let me see if I can. You're so tiny. I can't even go to your channel from here either. Let's see. Nope, I can't. So YouTube has it pretty cinched up here. I love God. Yes, post something. I can post something on YouTube here. Go to channel. Okay, let me see here. Okay. Cat. Oh, you're cat and dog. Okay. Your cat and dog. I don't see your community there. You don't have a tab for community. I can respond to you right now. That's what I'll do. I'll respond. I did respond to you the other day. I got your post. I see what I wrote. I'll just write. I'll write what you did. I love God. I love God. Okay, so I'm typing that right there. I know that's not much of a conversation, but I'm just writing that there so you know that I wrote it there. So I just wrote that there on your community. Okay, did you get it? I wrote, I love God on your community. Let me, if you're going to post, if you're going to do things, I'll actually subscribe to you. Okay, I just subscribed to you. Jesus loves you. Drive safe. Oh my God, we can have so much fun with that one. Jesus loves you. Drive safe. Can you imagine the barnyard of cows and sheep driving down the road? That's the direction we can go with this, is cows and sheep driving down the road in the name of God and Jesus. Cows, sheep, and fish are driving down the road in the name of Jesus, because I believe that all cows go to heaven. All cows, all fishies, all sheepies, all piggies, they all go to heaven now, don't they? Okay, so let me get back here. I love, oh my gosh, I love this. The gradient look is so cool. I didn't mean to make it this good. That wasn't my intentions to make my drawing look this good, but I did. um, for me, this looks good. Actually, it looks better than what I wanted it to look. So now what I'm going to do is add a gradient around my star balloon here. I need to go back on to, oh, thank you. I love God. You're the best too. We are, what was that one? Oh, Jesus is my main squeeze. That's like my most popular video right now. Jesus is my main squeeze. So I'm beginning to think that I need to make a squeeze ketchup bottle that says Jesus on it. I really do. I think I need to make a squeeze ketchup bottle that says Jesus on it, because Jesus is my main squeeze. And then I can make a mustard bottle that says Jesus, and a ketchup bottle that says Jesus, and a mayonnaise bottle that says Jesus mayonnaise on it, Jesus mayo. And I made a blur word. I did. I made a blur word. I don't know if you guys caught it or not. I made, it's kind of like an Easter egg. Let me see if I can find my video, and I'll tell you guys what one it is if you haven't found it yet. Let's see. It's not, I loved my Pastor Banana Priest modeling video, and I might have to put I Love God in there to get picked back up. But I thought it was funny. My priest video with the banana, I thought it was funny, but for some reason, okay. Oh, Salgaji Zizgorf. The spider, my creepy friend pal, Salgaji Zizgorf. Did you guys hear that? My creepy friend pal spider, Salgaji Zizgorf. I put Jesus in there. Salgaji Zizgorf. Do you guys hear it? But that's his name. His name is Salgaji Zizgorf. So Jesus is in there. He loves spiders. And this spider, his name is Salgaji Zizgorf. That's what I named him. And he's spying on Grandpa, who is with the woman, the really beautiful woman in the bikini, and Grandpa's taking random pictures with different women. So he can post it on Facebook and say that he's got all kinds of girlfriends. Now, Grandpa does not have Alzheimer's. He's going to tell you he has Alzheimer's, but he doesn't. He really doesn't. He just thinks he has Alzheimer's because some doctor told him that he should be having Alzheimer's, but he really doesn't. And so Grandpa is taking advantage of the Alzheimer's gig. And so he thinks if that he wears a medic alert bracelet and all this stuff, and the young women will feel sorry for him because he's old, because they've been doing that in the nursing home. They feel sorry for the old man. And so they do things. And he likes it. So there's a currency for old pops, some of them who can actually get into the nursing home. There's a little currency going on there. And old Pops is getting that currency. He can drive still. He can drive. He has a very clear mind. There's nothing wrong with his memory. He's just milking that to the hilt because he can. And that's how he gets attention from women, is by telling people he has Alzheimer's. Even though there's nothing really wrong with him. Hello, Praveen Manon. I'm trying to think. I'm wondering, I need to name this little thing when I'm done. I'm going to have fun with this, though, because I'm going to be doing the blending. I'm going to be doing the morphing. I'm going to take a picture of this. Morphing, not morphine, but morphing. I know, oh my gosh, that's another blur word I'm going to have to I'm going to have to tackle that in my English language concentration. Morphing, and it sounds like morphing and morphine. Do you guys hear that? It does. My star doesn't look very good. It looks terrible. Star, you weren't supposed to look like that. Oh my goodness, Star. Oh, am I whining too much? Oh, stop whining. We don't want to hear you whining and crying and having a pity party. Stop pity partying. We don't want a pity party. We're just supposed to be happy all the time. We don't want a pity party. A pity poopy party. We got a maroon poo, a blueberry. That's not a blueberry poo. That is a grapeberry poo. And yes, the grapes are this color and they're grapeberry poos. You got to go. Okay, goodbye, God. We'll see you later. I love you, God. I love you so much, God. Ooh. Did you know God is in our little poo berry here? Poo. Maybe that's what I'll name it, as poo berry. Poo berry corn. That sounds bad and good at the same time, doesn't it? Pooh berry corn. And I'm just thinking, I know the cruise ship, they did some funny things when I was able to go on the cruise ship. They did some hilarious things. They made the best tasting, I don't know what it was. It was something that tasted really, really good, but they made it look like turds. They made it look like a turd. And I had gave them a suggestion and feedback onto the cruise line. I said, why don't you make some of the food look like poop, because that's popular on the internet. So they were always asking for suggestions and things. And next thing you know, they did. They made it look like poop. They made these little turd looking things, and I took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook, so that's the business plan of some of these social media companies, is to use the internet and use the customers in such a way to spread their brands, so that way they don't have to pay. Did you know there's a big strategy behind that? And that's what the Democrats are doing too. The Republicans might not be as good at doing it. So it's just people talking about things. The Republicans and conservatives are cheap. And I know you guys don't like to talk about politics a whole lot, so I won't talk about that a whole lot. And so we'll go back here to our, what I call it, poo berry corn. I need to write that down so I don't forget. I'm going to call it poo berry corn. Okay, we're going to write it here in poo berry corn. Poo berry corn. Poo berry corn. Okay, so I'm not, we just got a little monster creature going on here. It's kind of a friendly looking monster creature that, with a dress on, so there's no gender on this thing. There's no gender, it's genderless. It has no gender. So we don't know what it is. But these people who are trying to figure out the internet, they actually don't understand genderless. They don't understand what genderless is. Maybe they do if they watch something like this and they start to get an imagination. Could you guys please get an imagination? No, that's too hard. That is absolutely way too hard for them to have an imagination or creativity. That's too hard for them to do. So they just want to complain. The conservatives, they just want to complain and say, oh, who are these cis transgender people on the internet? Well, this is one of them, because it doesn't have a gender. Poop comes in both genders. Poop is in both genders. And wildlife. I mean, you know what? Ask an old man who's a conservative if animals poop. or if animals have a poop gender. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. They're just not. They're not going to get it. Ask them if poop has a gender. If you want to ask them a dumb question, they love dumb questions. The truth is they don't. They don't like dumb questions. But ask, you know what? You need to ask Donald Trump if poop has a gender. If I was you guys, I dare you to do it. Ask Donald Trump if poop has a gender. And ask every old man, every crotchety old Bob Cratchit man, ask him if poop has a gender. I should write that on here. I need to write that question on here. Does poop have a gender? I'm going to write it over here because I think that's a funny question. Okay, we're going to write it together. DOE, does poop have a gender? Have a gender. I know you can poop in a box because they sell it on TV. You know, so isn't that influencing people to poop in a box for colon cancer? Isn't that influencing people to do something that could be harmful? Because the post office, oh my God, can you imagine? I used to work at the post office, and I was going to say, imagine the smell. And yes, it stunk. Those bags, those big orange bags, they smelled hideous. They smelled like urine, like there was a cat caught inside of the truck and was pissing and shitting all over the big orange bags. That's what it smelled like. It smelled that bad. It was horrible. And I just bet you any person who works at your local post office is going to verify that for you. Probably people who worked for United Parcel and FedEx. They probably will confirm the same thing. Even maybe truck drivers a little bit too probably will confirm there's some stinky smell and stuff that they're carrying in their load. And I'm not talking about their loaded Depends diaper because they were too lazy to stop at the last rest stop. And so they put on some Depends like the NASA astronaut when she was so in love with her boyfriend that she drove from Texas to Florida to have an affair with him because she was afraid that he was going to cheat on her with someone else, even though he was married. And I don't think she was married. She just wanted to be with him so bad. She drove for 2 days and put on Depends, and she crapped herself the whole time. And she didn't stop or take any rest breaks because she would get there faster just by skipping the rest breaks and pooping and shitting herself in the Depends underwear. That was the story of the woman. I don't remember her name though. I don't know what happened to her. You know, I mean, and so it kind of plays into that thing of, oh my gosh, women just need a man so bad. But inflation and marriage, this is not marriage equality. A woman chasing after a man like that is not female equality. But it just kind of plays into what's been influenced on TV by that and church and stuff like that. You know, we've all seen it. I have myself, and I didn't fully understand. You know, well, the thing is there's women right now who are actually taken care of, and it seems like they're scared to death. They're so afraid that a woman is going to steal their man from them somehow, and it's like, well, you know, maybe if he does something, you know, maybe he doesn't like you. If you're afraid that he's, you know, if you feel that way, but that's something that's been instilled into women, unfortunately. That's that competition thing, you know, of making it competitive, that men make the money and women don't, and women are just supposed to shut the hell up and be at home raising kids, be at home taking care of a man, even though now he has to go back to work because inflation is so bad. He has to go back to work, and the single ones can't take care of themselves, so they need a woman. And plus we have illegal migration. Wasn't it, what were they talking about the other day about Obama? They said 6 million illegals were in the United States. That is a lot. 6 million, and right now we've had 18 million under, what was it, Joe Biden, you know, even though that poor old man had Alzheimer's, and people were mean to him. And I was thinking, give the old man a break. He's got a little bit of something going on, but they wouldn't let up on him. Now, it's the Democrat Party is the problem. They're the monopoly. The Democrat Party and the Republican Party, they're the monopoly. And so you got these young kids on the internet still arguing about just the Democrats, and oh well, the Democrats did it to us, so now the Republicans have to do it to, and it's like, well, I don't know what the hell you guys are even talking about, but they're a monopoly, and so none of it actually helps and benefits the American public overall because we have inflation, and so you've kicked the can down the road as far as it can go. So we had a housing collapse in 2008. I anticipate another housing collapse. And then all Wall Street does right now, all they're doing is they did the tariffs. They did the tariffs. And then the Wall Street companies buy back their own shares. I mean, that was explained to me by my ex-husband over and over again. He said all they're doing is, he said every time they do something like this or the economy collapses or they say the economy collapses, all they're doing is buying back their own shares. So it's just Wall Street who's benefiting. Wall Street is the shadow government that everybody talks about. So they always say, oh, well, we have an anticipation that we're supposed to be able to make money and make business. Well, when I think about it, it's like, okay, so you guys actually aren't. You're just sitting on a bunch of money. You're not creating any business. You're being greedy. And a lot of your business actually is going out of business. So you're not doing anything. And a lot of it is advertising agencies too. So they're advertising agencies that are, they're hiring the illegals. And then the construction is actually bringing illegals into the United States under the H-1B and H-2B visa programs, which one of them is for work, temporary work, and another one is for entertainment purposes. So how do you guys like that? Okay, so let's see if I can't fix my star up here a little bit better. I'm not doing so good with my star here. I noticed NASA is not on TV anymore. They left earlier this year in the springtime. They kind of had like a little farewell thing, and then they said they blasted off into space. But I know they're on the internet. So I don't know if I really do like NASA because they had a lot of educational things. And, I don't like SpaceX because of the fact they don't have anything educational. And it's just kind of like it depicted a time SpaceX came about during the Obama era. And, when they started talking about things being very expensive with solar and things like that. And, so it's like it's the cost in turn then is passed off to the American public. So the only thing we anticipate then is higher prices. Each time they introduce something and they tell us, oh, well, we're going to have a solar car or something like that, or a self-driving car. Maybe it's just through the internet. Maybe that's all it is just through the internet specifically. And if that's the case, then it's money laundering, isn't it? So Elon Musk is just making all this money through the usage of the word solar, and someone has just invested in his company and it's not even real. It's just a cloud-based play for corporate manipulation of the American public, because that's how the word salads work. I mean, I can call my balloon a solar balloon. I can call my poo emoji a solar poo emoji and tap into Elon Musk's trends as far as that goes. I can call it a solar candy cane. That's how those trends work. So, Come on, balloon. Can't you look a little better than that? I mean, please, balloon, look a little bit. Okay, let's give it a little bit of a radiant glow here. Now, if I had Photoshop, this is something I would have done in Photoshop at one time, but I started, you know what I used Photoshop for? I used Photoshop to actually teach myself how to draw, which I thought that was kind of fun because we had we call it a dodge tool. And so like the combination, so when I color like this on the side, then the color is getting on my pencil and then it blends it in. So my pencil itself is actually a tool that you can use. So when I lift up a little bit like this, so you can see this pencil is not, oh, it is putting a little bit down there. I don't really want that there though, but this part does rub and it kind of brushes it out, so I don't need to use a Q-tip. So if any of you have ever bought those Q-tips from the big box stores and you're a single person, then you're going to have a whole bunch of Q-tips for your neighbors, to have a neighborhood Q-tip party, because you're going to have so many Q-tips. And the big box stores, I'll tell you something about them, like Costco and Sam's Club. They put a price on there because they expect the consumer, they're passing that cost off to you. They want the consumer to pay for more employees for them. So you really don't get much of anything extra for your value going to those stores like that. I know the people at Costco are upset. Sam's Club is actually more expensive than Costco is for their membership. And then if you move, you can't get your money back. You just can't. You can't get your money back. So that's something to think about, I mean, they claim that if you don't have a doctor, you can't go to Sam's Club to get medical stuff, because the thing is, you just plain don't have a doctor. So why do you need a pharmacy? And why is it that Sam's Club should negotiate for a very few people? So that's only the people who have a membership. If they can negotiate drug prices lower, that's not helping everybody, because not everybody has a Sam's Club membership. So how is that helping? Oh, I know. I read something. They raised this issue. So it made sense to somebody else. And what they had said was that the Sam's Club membership is not a health alternative. It's not an insurance or health alternative. So I did read something about that earlier this year. So, yeah. Okay, so how long? Oh, I've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes. I hope you guys don't think that I'm just passionate about things. That's all I am, is passionate about things. And sometimes it might come across as a little bit cranky, but that's not what's going on here. Because we are at the place of the can being kicked down the road entirely too far, and it's not going to work. This is not a sustainable economy, and I need to keep saying this over and over again. More people, you guys are welcome to say it's not a sustainable economy either, because it's not. This is what okay, so if you guys want to know my interpretation of the Republicans and their nuclear debt clock, what that means is it's not a sustainable economy. So, but instead of them saying that right out, they won't, because they want to get elected again. They won't just say it's not a sustainable economy, which is why they have the nuclear debt clock, and they want to tell everybody that each one of us would have to pay $90,000 to pay off the United States debt. Well, in turn, if that's the case, I need to be making $90,000 a year. If we want to look at it like that. So why aren't the Republicans doing something to help inflation? Why aren't the Democrats doing something to help inflation? So to help things go down. So I'm the union. Just think of me as the union who is asking for prices to go down, because the private sector and the corporations are causing inflation and causing American citizens to be homeless in the United States of America. And the prices of everything needs to contract more and more. And what I'm hearing from the foreign people, what they've said is they can't compete with the United States either. So I don't know what the thing is with China, though. I mean, I find confusing. With implementing tariffs, because it sounds like the president is just implementing or re-implementing tariffs that we already have, and he's lying. He's bold-faced lying about things, And so it's just like he's talking about things that have already been in place for many, many decades. And so, yeah. You know, and a lot of other people have already called him a liar. Okay, I like this. It turned out pretty darn good. Let's see if we can... yeah, that turned out pretty darn good there. So I'm thinking I'm going to end it at this, and I'll probably do something a little bit later. Someone said I should go on at about 3 o'clock, so I need to charge my battery up. I don't know what percentage I have on my battery right now. But they said I should go on at 3 o'clock today and do something.